Hi everyone, thanks for joining this live session, this webinar. I'm glad you have the time to join me live, or some of you may watch this as a replay, a video replay. That's also completely fine. It could be more engaging if you guys are online with me. That's how I like it. If you can ask questions and I can respond directly. If you are watching a replay, then you can still send me a message with any question you may have, and I'm always happy to answer it. Now let's focus on the topic today, which is IT recruitment, and this is a topic that is literally close to my heart, because I was a CTO in the past. I was leading a team. I co-founded a company in Southeast Asia, a company that grew from literally zero, or like at the beginning there were 3-4 of us co-founders, and it grew to about 95 people was the peak. And I was always recruiting lots of developers, lots of technical people, product team. So I was leading the engineering and product teams. Now I hesitated working with external recruiters, and I hesitated precisely because I saw they could bring only little value to me as an IT director back then. And the reason was they in Thailand, those recruiters I was in touch with really knew just a little about IT roles, and I realized, hey, there is a huge inefficiency between IT directors and recruiters. And as you can see on this slide, there is this inefficient cooperation between a person like me, a CTO, an IT director, and someone like maybe you. Now, what could be the reason? Well, it could be that recruiters either don't understand technologies, and this is what we want to change, right? You may not know the IT roles, and we want to change this. We want to explain these roles. I was really frustrated as a CTO. Anytime I talked to an IT recruiter and they didn't know about the technical stack, they could just bring very little value, maybe just process a CV here and there, but that's what you want to get much better at, right? I wanted someone who would be a full like end-to-end partner, like a business partner to me as a CTO, like someone who would come and advise me, even go a step further and advise me and tell me what I don't know, what I forgot, something I don't know about the local market, maybe something I should know about developers, about how to even think about recruiting them. Okay, and I also realized there is this clash between IT recruiters and developers, and the clash is again because recruiters in general don't understand technologies, and developers can spot it immediately. Now imagine how frustrating this must be for developers who talk to an IT recruiter who knows nothing about the difference between Java and JavaScript, not much about, not even speaking about the differences between some of the IT roles, right? So recruiters don't speak developers' language, and that frustrates them, developers. As a result, recruiters also write poor job descriptions, and eventually we created this training program that can help you get better at just being at the IT recruiter. You know, how can you as an IT recruiter become really good at IT recruitment? And on the other hand, you need to eventually level up to become a full end-to-end business partner to a CTO, because you can level up. You can go from where you are today to becoming a business partner to a CTO. It's not rocket science, right? It's just IT recruitment. And the way we look at this is at 4 different steps. Okay, so I'll draw them here: 1, 2, 3, 4. Here, usually recruiters start with sourcing, research, I'll turn off the aircon, it's getting really cold here. And usually here we talk about freshers, you know, someone who comes with a different background. Maybe you are a recruiter who focused on non-IT positions before becoming an IT recruiter. So these are freshers in IT. It doesn't mean you are a graduate, fresh graduate from university, but you may be a new person to IT recruitment. Then the next level is usually, or that's how we see it and how we look at this, is the person who can match JDs and CVs. So as soon as you can, well, there are some no-brainers. For example, if a client is looking for a C# developer and you meet someone who says, hey, I'm a C# developer, well, then that's a no-brainer, right? Like you can match a C# developer to a C# developer, that's a no-brainer. But you can go a step further and you can read between the lines. For example, if a client says, hey, I'm looking for a .NET developer, and you meet someone who said, hey, I'm just experimenting with F#, well, then you need to have this mental connection that would help you figure out that, hey, maybe this person could be the same as the client is looking for, because C#, F#, and .NET are part of the same ecosystem. One is a language and the other is a framework. So you need to be able to read between the lines. And again, hey, it's not a rocket science. You can learn this. Next level is someone who can access two databases and connect them. So the first database is a database of clients, and the second database is a database of developers or technical people, product people, engineers. And you need to be able to ask questions the hiring managers may have answers for. So for example, you may ask some straightforward questions like, hey, what kind of developer do you need? You may also ask about what do you try to achieve, or what kind of team would you like to build, and eventually in the say next level or the last level, the fourth level, where you are a full end-to-end partner to a CTO, you can go even further and you can ask them, for example, hey, maybe you don't need just a C# developer, but maybe you need someone who is passionate about starting new projects from scratch, because you need to build a prototype quickly and you don't need a crafter for this. Okay, so this is a last level. This is this end-to-end partner to CTOs. So here you match the two databases, DB1 and DB2. You figure out what do clients need, and then you figure out what what kind of developers do you have in database. You can access them. You can also interview them, and you can pair them. Like, that's obvious, right? Here you can also go a step further. For example, with sourcing. How to use LinkedIn? Well, that's a no-brainer. Everyone uses LinkedIn. But how can you use, for example, GitHub or Slack communities? You can go a bit further in this. Okay, so this is how we look at how can you become, your next level? How can you level up? How can you go from where you are today to the next level and eventually becoming a business partner? And the recruiters we work with sometimes even need to go and start again this whole cycle, right? Maybe you are already here, but still you may lack the technical foundation, because maybe someone from your team, maybe your boss, assigned a task to you, like, hey, now go and visit this client. Well, you went, you visited the client, but you are still not confident. You don't know what kind of questions to ask. And this is what I help some companies with. Sometimes I just go with their recruitment team to visit a CTO, an IT director, and figure out what kind of roles, what kind of teams would they like to build. Okay, so what I wanted to say is that sometimes you may be here on this level, but not be confident, not know what to ask. So sometimes it's better to start the cycle again and lay down a proper foundation to learn about technologies. And this is what I will also tell you more about right away. Okay, so the way we look at this this perfect superstarish IT recruiter is actually twofold. So one, and coming back to the picture I showed you a while ago, you can be first a superstar IT recruiter, and then you can become also this end-to-end partner to a CTO. So now let's look at what does it mean to become a superstar IT recruiter. So a great recruiter, as you can see on a slide, knows IT roles. A great IT recruiter knows the technologies, languages, frameworks. And remember, we work with lots of IT recruiters. We talk to them, we see what are their knowledge gaps, and this is often the case. They may know how to recruit Java developers because it's one of the most common roles, but they may not know, for example, how to hire a mobile app developer or a front-end developer, not even talking about some of the more managerial roles, product managers, project managers, etc. So the whole IT field is huge. Three, a great researcher. So a great IT recruiter is a great researcher. You need to know how to source developer, how to talk to them, how to approach them. A great IT recruiter can personalize messages to developers. Well, this is really important because developers often say that they are annoyed anytime they receive a mass email, mass message, not personalized. So great IT recruiters take time to write personalized messages. Next, strong in marketing. Well, we will be talking about the shift from inbound to outbound marketing, outbound recruitment, and marketing is a huge part of this. Because in the past, historically, we just posted job description online to some job board and we hoped developers would, well, they actually, in the past, they really applied. But then it started shifting, and I was living in Thailand back then, say 3-4 years ago, and I saw how the number of high quality leads decreased. Like people no longer used these job boards, and I as a CTO had to approach them. I had to do this outbound marketing. So that's what we also will talk about in a while. Strong in sales. A great IT recruiter is strong in sales and eventually confident. A great IT recruiter is confident. I meet quite a lot of senior IT recruiters who are confident, and they are confident not because they were born confident, but they are confident because they have a solid technical foundation. They know what to ask. There is nothing much to surprise them. So let's go step by step, bullet point by bullet point, starting with the IT roles. So first, guys, you as an IT recruiter need to know what are the differences between these roles. For example, a product manager and a project manager. For example, I could talk about each of these for 5-10 minutes. That's what I actually do inside the Geekery Academy. In one of our videos, I cover every single team role. So now I'll not go into details. I'll just go through it really briefly so you have this high-level overview, all right? And if you'd like, you can see more videos inside the Geekery Academy. So for example, product manager manages product. This is more of a long-term role. And project manager manages projects. So it's more focused. This person is more focused on the project that has some start and an end and a timeline. But let's not go into details. Again, on a high level, UX designer, UI designer. UX designer focuses on the flow, application flow, and UI designer focuses on the user interface. What can you see, how things are aligned, what are the colors? System analyst and business analyst Well, this is confusing itself. The business analyst, just to explain in one sentence, is closer to business people, and the system analyst is closer to developers. So the business analyst can figure out what do business people, so people from marketing, sales, CEO, what do they need, what kind of products, features they want to build, and then this person usually creates a requirement document and passes it on to a system analyst. And this system analyst takes this and needs to figure out how every single system is affected. So what does it need to change in each particular system, how the APIs need to work together. And then this system analyst creates a system analysis document and passes it on to developers who figure out what to really do, how to code it. Backend developer versus full stack developer. Well, this is also confusing. Some developers call themselves backend developers, some developers call themselves full stack developers. Usually full stack developers work with backend systems too, but backend developers like to focus only on backend. So they are more specialized, while the backend developers are say all-rounders. They usually work with both backend and front end. They don't hesitate to adjust cascading styles, create some little mock-up here and there. This is a topic for another 10 minutes at least, 20, because we could look at programming languages these developers use. So next time someone says, hey, I use Python, you know, he could be both backend and full stack developer. And next role could be, for example, DevOps engineer versus sysadmin. So it's important to realize that DevOps is really confusing, precisely because DevOps is a methodology, culture, it's a set of best practices. It's everything and nothing at the same time, right? So who is a DevOps engineer in this sense? Well, it's someone else than sysadmin used to be, because DevOps engineers usually automate. They usually work with cloud infrastructure. Their goal is to automate deployments, while, for example, the network administrator or system administrator usually maintained the systems, operating systems or web servers. Database developer versus database administrator versus database architect. Like, this could be also confusing, especially if you would add up more like a data warehouse developer, ETL developer. Like, this could be really confusing, and it's good to go one by one and even talk to these developers, which we actually can bring to you inside the Geekery Academy, where we interview developers, we interview CTOs, and we bring this information, this knowledge on some sort of silver plate to you guys, IT recruiters. Okay, so you need to understand IT roles in IT teams, and there are just so many of them. Recently we had a discussion, like, how many are there? We counted like more than 50-60 roles, because you can go really granular, like data scientist, machine learning specialist, front-end developer, web designer, etc., etc. Like, so many roles. You don't need to go into details, but at least you need to have this high-level overview, which we can give to you at Geekery. Next, a great IT recruiter knows the technologies, languages, and frameworks. I think this is essential. This is essential because that's the reason why for CTOs, for IT directors, for hiring managers, it's so easy to recruit developers, because there is nothing much to surprise us, right? We know what's the latest version of PHP, or what is the difference between .NET Framework and .NET Core. You need to learn this. You need to approach it like a salesperson with some intention. You need to learn this. But again, hey, it's not a rocket science. You can learn this. So we have prepared this technology map for you, where you can see, for example, languages like PHP, JavaScript, Objective-C, Go, Kotlin, Swift, C++, C#, Python, right? Like all these languages, programming languages. and then their frameworks. So just looking at PHP, you can see here which frameworks are trending. So I circled them just now, like Laravel or Symfony, and which frameworks are already fading out. For example, YE or Zend. Like these two frameworks popularity decrease over time. So this is something you need to know, but hey, again, it's not a rocket science. We just tell you, hey, these are the new frameworks, these are the obsolete. This is what you should ask next time you meet a developer, and that's it. You just learn this. Okay, so a great recruiter should also be a great researcher, sourcer. Now, what does it mean? Like, everyone uses LinkedIn. This is what you start with, but you can go even a step further. So, for example, how to use GitHub. Just look at GitHub. This is their search page where I looked for Python developers in Austria, as you can see here in the search bar, and you can see 683 users even with their email addresses. Like, how cool is this? This is awesome. You guys as IT recruiters should be using this daily. We will be talking about how to use it, also to look through the profiles, how to derive some value from this, how to personalize messages based on what you see on GitHub. Next, a great recruiter can personalize messages to developers. This is important. I mentioned the reason developers get annoyed as soon as they receive a mass email, especially if it's completely wrong, like the developer shifted from I don't know, Java enterprise recruitment to mobile app development, still uses Java, just in a different way, and 3 years later they receive a message with some generic content like, hey, we are looking for a J2EE developer, and I saw on your profile that you have experience. Like, that's not personalized at all. That's actually annoying. Okay, now how can you personalize messages? For example, using GitHub. You can go to GitHub and you can look at a developer's profile, where you would see, for example, their commit activity. So commit is well, something like save. So whenever a developer writes code, they save it to this cloud repository, GitHub, and you can see the intensity, so how much code was saved. On this example, you can see this developer commits also during the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, which could be a good conversation starter with a developer next time you are sending a message to him or her. I'm not saying you need to do this for every single message, like obviously that's not feasible, but just keep in mind you need to personalize messages into some extent, and then, you know, depending on your say on the importance of the message, you need to find out how much time to spend on research for that particular developer. If I would like to really impress a developer, then I would maybe spend 5-10 minutes. If I would like just to see which repositories has he posted, well, it's a matter of 2 minutes just to scan his list of repositories or forks. Okay, next, a great IT recruiter is strong in marketing, in role advertisement and digital marketing. Now, what is role advertisement? Just look at this example. On the left, you can see a job description we've received from one of the hiring managers, and this is really inefficient, could be a very polite word, where they write something about the role, but you know, part of the content is super obvious, like the part where they write that you will be responsible for development integrations of front-end elements. Like, yeah, well, hello, every PHP developer is responsible for development integration of front-end elements, right? Like, it's a no-brainer. You can skip this fluff and instead focus on what matters. So we teach also how to create some advertisement, a role advertisement from the job description. Often, and I will demonstrate this this here. So say you have a JD, which is usually used for internal purposes. Internal. So it could be some knowledge base. Okay, so internal purposes. And then what you also should create is some role advertisement. Okay, role ads. And this should be used for external purposes. Okay, role advertisement. What you can see here on the right is precisely the role advertisement. On the left is the job description, something that should be stored forever in a knowledge base for companies' purposes, so they know what every single developer is working on, what kind of project, what are their responsibilities, when they should come to work, etc. But when you advertise to developers, you need to look at what developers are, what do they like, what attracts them, what is interesting for them. Okay, so that's what we do, and we, for example, rewrite job descriptions like this one. You can see here a job description for a C++ developer. Well, this is boring. This is extremely boring. Imagine a senior C++ developer receives maybe 20, 30, 40 offers per week. They may be really overwhelmed by all the messages they receive, and then you send them this boring job description. Like this is not even advertisement. Like imagine some marketing person would come and start marketing this. Like they would rewrite it immediately, and that's what we also help you with. How can you rewrite? How can you make it more attractive? How can you create advertisement? How can you advertise the roles, not just copy paste whatever you've received from HR? This is another example where we look at senior JavaScript developer. Sometimes job descriptions are full of fluff. Like this could be relevant for the internal purposes where you want to make sure they know what to work on. But whenever you communicate to external, whenever you advertise, you don't need to write the obvious stuff. For example, a senior JavaScript developer needs to understand what is Git. Like, hello, this is so common. This is common knowledge. Similarly, when a CEO of a recruitment agency is looking for a recruiter, they don't write, we are looking for someone who can sign a contract. Like, that's obvious, right? This is obvious. So why to even write it to a job description? Actually, to a role advertisement, it doesn't make sense to write. So this is how we look at job descriptions and rewrite them, which eventually helped us to create this little framework. This is just a series of points that we like to look at anytime we create or recreate or rewrite a job description to a role advertisement. Like, we like to look at, for example, the company, but we don't just write, well, this is a company that's been here for 25 years and it has strong history in manufacturing, and our client has offices in Salzburg and Vienna and Prague and London and Zurich and New York and Silicon Valley, right? And this is really what I've seen just recently, and that was it about the company. Now imagine what value does this bring, this job description, this company description brings to a developer? Like literally zero. First, it tells about the history, which in developers' eyes, well, they immediately realize how much legacy there is in a 20-year-old company. There is just so much legacy. There are so many legacy systems. Developers don't like this. So why to even mention it in an advertisement, right? And second, this company wrote, hey, this client has offices in Switzerland, Zurich, Austria, Vienna, you know, like they enumerated all these cool fancy cities, Silicon Valley, New York, and then they were looking for someone to join some tiny little village in Czech Republic. So I was thinking like, wow, that's actually really annoying for the developer to know everyone is sitting in those cool offices in Paris and New York and yeah, Silicon Valley, and that developer should sit in some team, you know, hidden in some little village. So we like to look at it through the lenses of developers. We like to step into their shoes and think, hey, what do they want to know about the company? They want to know if it's a corporation, because they already have certain biases. Some developers are looking for the corporate environment because of the stability, and some developers like, for example, agencies, because in agencies the projects change every 2, 3, 4 months and they like change. Some developers like startups because they like working on one product for 2 years. They like to go really deep. They like a startup environment because it has its own specifics, like you know, startups are all about professional growth and learning, and developers like this. Okay, so this is how we like to look at. Also, when we say startups, we should mention, hey, is this startup funded? Well, then it again increases the attractivity. Whenever I talk to senior developers, they want to know more about the team, about the size of the team, about the methodology the team has adopted. So why not to mention this upfront in a job description? You could again increase the attractiveness of the role advertisement. Okay, and this is our little framework. We can go step by step. I'll not go too deep, but you can look at it and you can see what the framework's focuses on. What I would really highlight is actually the second part of the marketing skills, and this is to create social media posts like this one. For example, Abdul Madlan created this wonderful video, just 40 seconds long, but it's so cool, where he presents a role, he talks about the company, he talks about the role, and he literally focuses on just PHP and Laravel skills, nothing more, because he already knows that the rest is just learnable. A developer can learn, you know, whatever library, or yeah, it's just hard skill, can be learned these days really quickly. So when he's advertising, he makes fun of himself a little. So just notice this guy who is cleaning windows behind Abdul, which is really cool, funny video with almost 2,000 views. Very cool. This is what we also go through. Like, how can you guys create these videos? It's not really difficult. You can do it. You can learn this. No-brainer. Next, a great IT recruiter is strong in sales. And it's important to realize that these days you need to sell a position to a developer. They already are employed. Like most of the developers are employed. I would say every developer has at least one job, because often they have more than one job. So we need to figure out how to get the developer from where they are today, employed. You need to get them from where they are today to where you want them to go, and you need to convince them. So you need to, for example, cold call. Like here I mentioned, cold calls do work. IT recruiters, from my experience, don't cold call because they lack confidence. They don't know what to ask. So again, we can help you with this. We can help you learn, script a few questions. So next time you call a developer, this actually could have much better, and I know it from experience. I know it from some of the best IT recruiters. They cold call, and suddenly a developer who is overwhelmed online with 30, 40 LinkedIn messages per week, suddenly you call him with confidence, you say what he wants to hear. You have a client, a startup funded that works with this and this stack, is looking for a developer with these two skills, and that's it. And you wait, okay? So you need to use some of these sales say phrases or approaches, like if you are and you want, here's what I've got for you, and you just fill in this this sentence. Like, if you are a developer who, you say, if you are a PHP developer who knows Laravel and you want to learn more about JavaScript, React framework, here is what I've got for you. I have a client who rebuilds their website using React, and they're looking for someone who can help them rewrite their system to go from PHP-based system to React-based system, and that's it. And you have one pitch. This pitch is super strong because a developer can immediately connect. Yeah, I'm that developer, I want this, and that opportunity sounds good, so I will just follow this opportunity. Okay, so make sure you also improve your sales skills. And going to the last point, a great IT recruiter is confident. Well, confidence comes with knowledge and practice. This is important to keep in mind. Well, I know this is a no-brainer. Just it's good to remind ourselves that we become confident after we practice, after we learn. Then we are confident. We are not born confident. No IT recruiter is confident because he was born confident. Maybe some of us are more extroverted than others, but still you can get confident if you learn about the programming languages, frameworks, tools developers use. You can learn about the IT roles. You can learn where to source developers, how to create a good job description, how to call developers using, for example, this framework. If you are and you want, here's what I've got for you. You have this one pitch and boom. Okay? So I hope that's clear. Now the second part of the learning path focuses on you becoming great end-to-end partner. Okay, so the first one was IT recruiter, and the second one was all about end-to-end partner. End-to-end partner. Okay, so now we are going to spend a minute or two on how can you become this end-to-end partner to CTOs. And I think you only need a dozen of good questions, and obviously these insights that we can bring you from, and we extract them from the heads of CTOs and senior developers, hiring managers. Like, for example, this personality fit. Crafters versus makers, what this is. So say you have two developers, both are C# developers, and these two developers are completely different though, right? Like, they have the same skill set, could be .NET framework experience, C#, both the same, pretty much, both seniors, but one likes to start new projects from scratch, and the other one likes to maintain projects. So we call them, for example, builders and maintainers. And these two have completely different preferences. Like, one is better suitable for example, roles in startup environment, while the other is better in a corporation where they can maybe hide a little, they can just jump to a project that is already running, and then they can maintain it. It doesn't mean they are lazy by far. They just prefer already stable environment, while, for example, the builders like to come and start new projects from scratch. They like to experiment and brainstorm, and they are more creative. They like to change projects more often. So this is what you can also ask a hiring manager during a discussion. When you are hiring for them, you can ask, hey, what kind of a person do you need? Do you need someone like fourth person to the team who will just maintain whatever has been already built? Or do you need someone who will start from scratch? And then you can also ask different questions to developers that you are interviewing. Okay, so this is how you can level up. Another question with crafters and makers. Sorry, I jumped to builders and makers. So crafters and makers, as an example, So crafters are usually those who like to make everything clear, clean, well tested. But makers are those who just come and want to iterate quickly and build and throw it away and rebuild, and they just don't want to get distracted by too many tests and maybe too clean code, because in different scenarios different situation is desired. For example, a CTO who just needs to build a quick prototype may need a maker. So someone who doesn't care much about unit tests and automated workflow, because you don't need an automated workflow when you want to build a prototype, some MVP. Okay, so you can again keep asking your CTO or an IT director, so are you building something in the long term, or do you need to build something just quickly, some prototype, and then you will iterate on this prototype? And based on that, you can also hire the right person. And there are just so many examples like these, like specialized versus all-rounders. I'll not cover all of these, but this is what I wanted to talk about during this webinar, to at least give you guys some little insights on how do we think about you becoming really great at both IT recruitment and becoming this business partner to CTOs. You obviously need to learn more about technologies, you need to learn more about frameworks, roles, etc. And that's precisely why we have prepared these courses inside the Geekery Academy. They, into large extent, reflect the four steps we were drawing just a while ago. We have, for example, GR10X, GR20X, 30X, 40X, and the X means like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So GR101, 102, 103, 201, 202. So, for example, the series GR10X focus on IT foundation, the GR20X focus on IT recruitment basics. So, for example, how to use GitHub that I already mentioned. The series 30X focuses on advanced recruitment, and 40X literally becoming this part. Like, how can you, with already strong IT foundation, if you already know how to recruit people, how to access database, how can you become a business partner? What kind of questions to ask? So if we zoom a little, this is what you will see. For example, this module 102 focuses on organizational design and digital teams. Like, you need to know the difference between a product team and an engineering team, a functional team and a divisional team and an agile team. Okay, also the team roles, managerial team roles, individual contributors like developers, analytics, architects, DevOps engineers. Like, there are so many. Okay, and here we focus on software development lifecycle methodologies like waterfall, Kanban, their differences. But we go even a step further, which is really cool. Now hold a sec here, because you may already know about Scrum, you may know about Kanban, but now we look at these topics through your lenses. As an IT recruiter, you need to be able to use this in a conversation. For example, next time you meet a developer and you know he works in a Scrum team, you need to ask a question, or you don't need to, but you may want to ask a question. For example, hey, how often do you do retrospectives? How do you perform daily stand-ups? And we give you questions like these, which is really helpful. This is helpful because you can demonstrate that you know what you are talking about. You can demonstrate you are engaged. You are an IT recruiter. Okay, so this is how we can bring more value to you, by giving you these questions again on this silver plate. Okay, next 104 focuses on software developers, languages and frameworks. So thinking about the great IT recruiter, again, it reminds me that you need to know about all these IT roles. And just to give you this context here again, how it all fits. So say you have some structure and you have some teams in this structure, and there could be one team and whatever. So say this is a CEO of a company and there are multiple teams. There could be metrics teams, or there could be these agile flat teams. Doesn't really matter. So say there are people here also, just to make it quick. Okay, so we look at these teams. This could be, for example, in a functional organization, this could be backend team, this could be front-end team, this could be marketing team, sales team, whatever. This could be engineering team that then also consists of backend team, front-end team, mobile app team. I'll not go into details, but what is important, you need to know what are these roles here. So there are, for example, 5 roles, 3 roles, 3 roles, and some of the roles are, say, managerial. Some of the roles are in these new digital teams, like who is a CX designer, like a customer experience designer, who is a product owner, who is a business analyst, who is a, I don't know what else we've mentioned, UX designer. And then we zoom in and we focus on developers. Who is a backend developer, front-end developer, who is a database engineer, database administrator, just so many roles only in IT. So managerial roles, IT roles, this could be IT, and then particular developer roles. So now you see how this escalates. Organization structure, teams, and then individual roles. Next, technical stacks, storage. What we actually do often, we look at job descriptions, and maybe I have a sample here. Hold a sec, I'll pull a paper, maybe I have it here. Oh yeah, like this one here. So we have usually just printed out job descriptions like this one here, and we look at job descriptions and some of the key terms, like here, web servers. The key term here is web servers, so we just explain some of this term. What is a web server? So that actually relates to tech stack. Web server, what are some of the most common web servers? What is a database server? What are the most popular technical stacks like LAMP or MEAN? And this is what you need to know in order for you to talk to developers with confidence. Next, DevOps. DevOps is one of the most confusing topics, I would say, from my experience for IT recruiters, because it's methodology, it's a culture. DevOps is a set of best practices. It's really difficult to comprehend what DevOps really is and who is a DevOps engineer. So we explain it. We compare DevOps. But we talk about agile environment and how it relates to DevOps, like how agile and DevOps are a great fit together. Database, BI, super important, because there are all these roles like database architect, database engineer, database, data warehouse administrator, ETL admin, business intelligence analyst, etc. Like huge topic, and the big data is getting even more and more prevalent. So you need to understand this module also well. Okay, I'll skip social design, web design because of time. What is really interesting is, for example, the GR20X, technical recruitment tactics, how to use GitHub, how to use Slack communities. If you guys haven't used Slack communities yet, well, then I strongly recommend to look this up or join Geekery Academy, where we show you how to use Slack communities. How can you join a Slack community with DevOps developers, and how can you effectively approach DevOps developers on Slack, hiring software developers. And sometimes we go even deeper, like for example this step number 3, the series GR301, 2, 3, 4. We focus on how to hire front-end developers, how to hire back-end developers, how to hire mobile app developers, how to hire DevOps. We interview CTOs, we interview hiring managers, we see what questions they ask, and based on that, we create these modules, which is really cool. Like, I certainly don't know all these topics. I also specialized on 2-3 areas in the past, so that's why we have involved other instructors. We have at the moment we have more than 20 instructors at Geekery who help us create this great content and content helpful to you. Okay, so that was just an overview of all these topics we cover, and we look at it through the lenses of a recruiter. Like, what do you as an IT recruiter need to know? What do you need to learn today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year? We start with some of the most obvious, like how to hire Java developers, but you know, it is just the start because Java is so widespread. But think further. We will go and cover more topics like how to hire blockchain developers, how to interview a Solidity developer, how to have a meaningful discussion with these developers, you know, how to interview a machine learning specialist, etc. So what do you see here with these modules 3.0x? This is just the start. This is just what we start with, and we will certainly be adding more, even based on your feedback. So for example, how to hire SAP developers is something we hear quite often, and we will be including it to our training plan. Okay, so I hope this has been useful to you. Now I have actually a special offer for you, because I know you may want more, and we have so much more at Geekery. This has been just start. I showed you what we can do for you as an IT recruiter, and now I have a special offer for you. Because you have watched this video, and you can see a link below. So the special offer is actually to join our IT recruitment masterclass. This masterclass usually costs 190 euros, and now I'm offering it to you for 99 euros. So you effectively save, how much is it? Like 91 euros, which is really cool. And this is a special offer only here to those of you who have watched this, because I know you guys, if you already spent this half an hour, 40 minutes, or I'm actually not sure how long this session has been, but anyway, I enjoyed it, and I hope you have enjoyed it also. So if you like what you hear and you want more great content like this, then certainly I recommend joining this masterclass. It will be great. We will help you hire more developers with confidence. You can see, for example, this is going to be a group training. There will be 6 different classes every week, so it's a 6-week long training program. All classes are taught live, so there is nothing pre-recorded, which I really like, because we can have a discussion, we can answer your questions, and when I say we, I mean my team and I. Sometimes it's Vlad, my co-founder at Geekery, joining us, so he can also answer your questions, or I can answer your questions, or someone else can answer your questions. So let's make it dynamic. And what usually recruiters like is the fact that we help you rewrite your job descriptions. Like, you have seen already the one, let me open it again. Where was it? Oh, here. Where you may have a job description like this one, right? It's full of fluff, it's not interesting, it's not exciting, it's not attractive, and you wonder like, hey, why don't we have more applicants? Well, this could be the reason, and we can help you rewrite this job description, and it's all only for 99 euros, which is super cheap for all the value that you can get from this training. And here is what you will learn. You will learn how to source developers, and not just source on LinkedIn, like everyone is doing it, but how to source on GitHub, how to source on Slack, how to source on some other online communities where developers spend time. How to attract developers is topic number 2. How to use our framework, okay? How to rewrite job descriptions to be more attractive. What attracts developers, how to change, how to rephrase, how to even shift from job descriptions to role advertisement. How to recognize confusing IT team roles is another great, interesting session, because we look at precisely what I already showed you, like with these differences between a database administrator, database architect, database administrator, database developer, ETL, well, etc., etc. Just so many confusing roles that you should understand. Number 5, how to interview developers, what questions to ask. Really cool. You guys need to get better at interviewing, because that's how you can bring more value to hiring managers. You don't just forward a CV, but you can already pre-screen the person. You can ask a few good questions and then either recommend to hire or to pass this candidate. And number 6, technology map, developers, languages, frameworks, tools they use. You just well, this is usually, and I'm sharing it based on my experience. Whenever we look at the technology map, it's an eye-opening experience for most of the IT recruiters, because this is the first time they see the full picture. Languages, frameworks, what is used for backend, what is used for frontend, what is used for mobile apps. So that's what we do, that's what we can go through with you during the session, and this is what it usually looks like. This is how we do it for teams. Sometimes it's for a team from one company, sometimes it's a group training. This is what it looks like. That's what I like much more than even now during this live stream, because I cannot really see who is on the other side. Especially if you guys are watching replay, then I have no clue, but I like it when I see your faces, when we interact, when you ask questions, then, well, that's super cool. And that brings me to the very last slide again. I strongly encourage you to join this IT recruitment masterclass. We start every first Wednesday, so it starts every month, every first Wednesday of every month, and then for 6 weeks. Okay. We started with 190. We tested the content. We had a few guys going through the content with us. The feedback has been great. Now we are offering it to you only for 99 euros, and soon the price may go up. So you'd better take an advantage of this special offer. You can just click the button below this video and enroll today. You can secure your seat. And we will start the first Wednesday after this, well, whenever you watch it, like you guys may watch it live, you guys may watch it in a replay, but still we will start the first Wednesday of the next month. Okay, I hope this is clear. I'm happy to answer your questions. Yeah, I'm just so much looking forward to meeting you at the IT Recruitment Masterclass. So don't hesitate and enroll now to secure your seat.